Yeah, and when I after I share it out, within like 5 minutes, it usually bumps us up like 10.
Lifeboat Live. We have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck.
Good evening, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass is my partner, Mark Wages. Welcome to the Lifeboat. So, before we get rolling, I would be remiss if I did not do a shout out to my brother Johnny and the effort he made today. Obviously, sharing the Lifeboat over on Chase the Heat when we got this channel up and running. And the other day when I was doing the history of the Lifeboat, I said January 31st. Somebody called me on it. It was July 31st. I don't know why I said January, but from the very word go, I would say probably the first 200 or 300 people on the boat back then, the Tommy Scoville show, came directly from Chase the Heat. And since then, it was one of those situations where we just sort of ran parallel. We always talked about one another, but I think that we got really close to the 3,000 mark. Johnny wanted to give us a shout out, and since he's a legend, right? A legend. When he does that, it tends to legend. I'm sorry, he hates that.
Yes.
But when he does a shout out, a lot of cool things happen. And So I picked up pretty close to 60 new crew members. Really want to say thank you and welcome to all of the new crew coming over from the bus to the boat.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff. So this is one of those topics that, believe it or not, people, this is the most requested topic that we get on the Lifeboat. This is a topic that is every single time we put out something and say, what topics would you like us to talk about? This is the topic that comes up the most. Now, if you've been on the boat for a year, you've heard us talk about this so many times in so many ways. But we have so many new people, not just with the bus, but we're on a pretty good run here, right? The last month and a half, 2 months has been we've just been on fire here. So there's a lot of new people, and you really can't do better than talking about relapse. I mean, let's be really honest. If you're trying to stay sober, the biggest enemy you have, right, and your biggest fear for most people is relapse. We got to walk a tightrope on this one too, because relapse. Thank you, Brandon. He says, welcome new family members. Leave a like. It does help. Please hit that like button. The algorithm loves it. So here's the deal. Relapse is part of recovery. How many times have you heard that? Well, it's part of recovery, right? Relapse is absolutely a part of recovery, and it's a huge part of recovery. Hey, welcome, Cujo. We're glad you're here, bud. It's a huge part of recovery. What the tightrope is this. It is said so often that for a lot of people, when they relapse, and if you've been on the boat a long time, you know what I'm talking about, right? We've had people come on here and they relapse every 15 minutes, and they pop in with I relapsed again. Yeah, I relapsed again. Getting back up, dusting myself off, and trying again. It becomes such a pattern that relapse doesn't hold a sting, right? It is just such an accepted part of recovery that when people relapse, it doesn't even bother them. And I'll tell you something, that's a sin. It is absolutely essential that relapse does what it needs to do, which number one should be to scare the hell out of you, right? And one of the things that we beat the drum on here a lot is that there are two kinds of relapses, right? There are good ones and bad ones. And we talk about this a lot. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of other kinds, but the two major kinds of relapses are good ones and bad ones. A bad relapse is when you use your previous drug of choice for any length of time and then get sober again with no analytic thought process going into what caused you to relapse. Because one of the things that if you've been in this recovery game for any period of time, then you know that relapse is not the act of putting a bong to your mouth or putting a straw up your nose, right? That's using again. Relapse is the process that gets you to using again. And it is never one of those situations where you go, oh man, you know what? I was having a bad day and I just relapsed. It was just one of those things, the thought came up and I just went and did it. It doesn't work like that. You can convince yourself that that's what happened, but that is complete and utter BS. The truth of the matter is that you start on a downward slide. SG, good to see you. Survival game is here. People, tonight, Mark Wages is going to be the contestant on the survival game. And if you're not over there mocking him viciously with me, I will be disappointed.
I'll be mocking myself, dude. I suck at that.
There's no doubt. Yeah, I know you will be, which is Joe. The Joe that you know. Good to see you, bud.
Good to see you, Joe.
Bud. Good to see you. So that downward slide, that process of relapse ends in you actually using. And we've talked about the phases of relapse a ton of times on the channel, and that's not really what I want to concentrate on today. What we really want to concentrate on is just relapse in general, right? And the art of getting back up, right? The difference between a good relapse and a bad relapse. When you come away from a relapse and in your head you think, you know what? Last Wednesday, right? My boss started giving me crap and I got the screw it, right? Screw this, screw that. And from that moment on, my mindset changed. I knew right then something was wrong. And I didn't do what? People, if you start feeling yourself sliding, right? And you think to yourself, I'm going to get through this and I'm going to get through this on my own. You may as well use right then. It doesn't work that way. And I'll get an email from someone tonight that says, I know a guy, or I did this. That's great. More power to you. But for the most part, and statistically speaking, we don't do real well alone. There's a reason that group therapy is the gold standard. There's a reason that when this was left to medical professionals, they literally said that addiction couldn't be treated, right? This was something that once you got, it was all over. There was nothing that could be done about it. Cujo says, it's like stinking thinking for me. Like it's a haunting call that whispers, come back to me. That is, and he's left that on a comment earlier today or something very similar. And it's like that for everybody. They may not articulate it like you just did, but it's like that for everybody. And we make reference to this a lot on the boat. It's that inner voice. It's that calling that addicts understand without having to have it explained. And people who have never been addicted, you couldn't explain that to them if you tried. You get questions like, there's literally a voice in there. It's right. And I understand. I'm honestly, it may sound like I'm picking on him. I'm not. It's just that the reason that group therapy works in every genre, whether or not you're talking about, drugs or alcohol or anything else. Hold on one sec. Matt Bush says, for me, mental relapse was key to not relapsing, recognizing the mental relapse before the physical relapse. And absolutely, that's the difference between phase 1 and phase 3 of relapse, right? When that mental thing starts, right? The next thing that's going to hit you is going to be the emotional thing, right? And at that phase, you're in deep trouble. Pumping the brakes at that phase is a very difficult thing to do. So Matt nailed it, right? You really need to nip this in the bud, people. And the easiest way to do this, and I get such pushback every single time I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. The best case scenario is if you take the time at the end of every single day to journal, right? If you're not that person, if you say, I don't write stuff down, after school, I decided I was never going to do anything like that again, fine, right? At least take 5 minutes at the end of every day and sit down and go, what did I do right? And what did I do wrong? At what point today did I feel like using, or at what point today did I feel like I just wasn't solid, right? Because the people that journal, the people who write down everything that happened to them, more often than not, you're going to catch yourself in the process of relapse before it ever happens, right? Before you ever get to the physical where you pick up the pipe or you do whatever, you're going to see that coming. Now, if you're smart, what you're going to do is you're going to reach out and tell someone else about it. And people, I can't stress this enough, right? It's not because reaching out to us or reaching out to another crew member, it's not that they're the Maharishi, right? That they have all of the answers. You have the answers, right? But when you talk to someone else, if you knew how many times, and my bobble-headed partner will back me up on this, if you knew how many times someone will reach out to us and say, boy, I'm really going through something and I really need your advice. And we'll go, sure, what's going on? And we start talking and they proceed to tell us what is wrong, what they need to do to fix it. And I mean, they literally never, and we go,
yeah,
right. Yeah, absolutely. And then we get to the end of it and they go, wow, thanks for your help.
Yeah.
Man.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Great. Thank you so much for your help. More often than not, it's just the fact that, and this is really basic stuff if you think about it, right? There's a big difference between thinking things and articulating them, right? When something goes from here to here, we're engaging parts of the brain that we don't use. You understand? Right. There's a big difference between, it's why, when people do affirmations, I've had people say, can't I just kind of look in the mirror and think it? Absolutely not. Right? Absolutely not.
Gotta say it.
No, you have to say it. And it may sound crazy, right? But when you say it, all of these things happen. First of all, you're looking in the mirror, right? So you're engaging eyes, you're engaging ears. All of these different things are happening, right? The vibrations. Oh, I thought someone was coming for a hug. I was going to give him the aw. By the way, DJ Daddy-O, good to see you, my friend. Always glad when you're here. Same with you, Alan Valentine, Cemetery 76, Joanna, Leisure. Got the whole crew. Yep. Brandon?
I want to say something too, guys, to kind of modernize what the journaling thing there he's talking about. I had a friend of mine that was in my group that actually would, he had a voice recording app on his phone, and he would record it at the end of the day, and he would actually on his way to work the next day or listen to it again. So, I mean,
that's genius.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I mean, because, obviously we're in the modern world now, and we just things are moving a lot faster than they used to. But I do want to stress that what Tommy's talking about is still more, I think, therapeutic than just listening to an app. Just taking the time to actually put pen to paper and then read it again and really concentrate on it a little bit more. And I get it. If you ain't got the time, do what that is. I mean, you could do both. it's not going to hurt. I just think that that's doing the old school way there a little bit does seem to help a lot better, I think. But that is a good alternative if you just simply don't have the time, or you just simply don't want to do it. Let's just be real about it.
Right.
Some people just do not, and they're just so dead set against doing that kind of thing. You'll never get them to do it. So, but yeah.
Sharon Chandler has a couple of great comments. Said that there was an injury to the leg, and the paramedics in the apartment were saying, we need to get some fentanyl, right? And the fear of knowing just how strong that drug is, and the fact that with an addictive personality, just the fear that there's an excellent chance that you're going to get addicted. This is something we talk about a lot. I get it. I completely understand the fear of being addicted to fentanyl or opiates in general. There are great uses for opiates. And if you're sitting there with a broken thigh, I would suggest taking the shot. You did the right thing. But you understand that the mindset of thinking in the apartment, good Lord, I don't want any part of this, is more than half the battle.
Yes, you just won right there.
You literally, exactly. My partner nailed it. You had already won the argument before it ever started, right? The awareness that you have an addictive personality, that this is a terrifying substance, that going on, you're way ahead of the curve. You really shouldn't have any problem. Again, people, if they're trying to give you something and you need it, if you're in excruciating pain, where it gets dicey is when the doctor says, we'd like to write you a prescription for going home.
That's
right?
where,
I've been doing some research. Hello, Rhonda. I've been doing some research, and we're going to be doing a little bit of an expose on the most evil family in the entire world. We won't mention their names, but at least not yet. But I started to do some research, and the number of people who are addicted to opiates who started on pills, it literally makes up 85% of people addicted start on pills.
Yep.
So it really is amazing. But that Austin Smith, I came from Chase the Heat. I was addicted to painkillers for 11 years. I've been on Suboxone since then. What are your thoughts on Suboxone? Well, I'm glad that you asked. There are a great number of people on this planet that believe that Suboxone is changing one drug for another. Myself and my partner are both of the firm belief that that's exactly what it is. You're trading a drug that will destroy your life, right? That will enslave you for a drug that doesn't get you high and will take away all cravings. That seems like a really good bet. And both of us are opiate addicts, and both of us do medical assisted treatment. So I currently take 8 milligrams a day. I believe my partner is also on 8. Is that right?
16.
16. Okay. Yeah. So Mark is on 16 a day. Absolutely a fan of anything.
11 years for me, by the way, guys. So
11 years.
Yeah.
How cool is that? I'm on 7. And the first, I think this is important to mention. For the first 5 years of my sobriety, I was not on Suboxone. I managed to stay sober 5 years without it. And every single day was a living hell. And I remember having a conversation with my brother Johnny on the telephone. And I said something about drugs. And he's like, I don't think about it. It's not something that's a part of my life.
Ain't that amazing?
He said, do you still think about this stuff? And he was, honestly shocked because I had been sober as long as I had. And I said, there's not a 45-minute period of time that goes by that I don't think about it. Yeah. I literally was white knuckling it for
it's a living hell, dude. It's a living
Ashton
hell.
Smith says I'm down to 14 a day. Excellent. That's good. Or 14 a month.
14 a
That's
day,
awesome.
a month.
14 trips a month is fantastic. But yeah, as far as we're concerned, there's really the stigma that comes with that drug is doing our world a very serious disservice.
Yep.
Right? Right now, we're losing 300 people a day. And do you know how many of them out there had an opportunity to do Suboxone or to do methadone or to do any of those and thought, oh, that's junkie medication. And, my family's going to say this, or my family, we're going to get judged on this. Medical assisted treatment of any kind, right? There's a lot of cutting edge stuff right now with alcohol. Actually, very similar to, it's a spinoff of opiates. What they found is that people that were taking naloxone were having incredible results. What naloxone does to someone who has an alcohol use disorder, what we used to call alcoholism, is you can still get a buzz, right? It's not like Antabuse where you drink it and immediately get sick. It's a completely different thought. What happens is you drink and you still get drunk. What doesn't happen is the reward center of your brain does not squeeze out any reward for what you're doing. And it's astounding to see what happens when you're only getting half of your addiction, because half of the addiction is whatever drug you're taking. The other half is the malfunctioning reward center of your brain telling you that what you just did was the most important thing you're going to do all day, right? Nothing is more important, including eating, right? Procreation, anything. The most important thing in your life is taking that next drink, right? That next hit. So when someone who is abusing alcohol can still take the alcohol but not get rewarded for doing it, most quit. In passion. The results they've been having with that are incredible. So to say to anyone, nah, don't do that, because you're just trading one drug for another. We're losing 300 people a day. Yeah. So if you have an opportunity to weigh in on this, and you think deep down inside, you know what, Suboxone is just a cop out and this and that, do me a huge favor and shut up. Keep it to yourself.
Sorry.
For real, keep it to yourself. Yeah. Because there are people out there that so badly need that. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having that opinion. Seriously, God bless you. Have that opinion. Right. But don't share that with somebody that is making a decision on whether or not they should be taking it. Because
you could actually be putting the nail. You could be putting the last nail in their coffin when you say something like that to somebody.
No question.
And to back up just a second, you know, when you were talking about the doctor, you know, and coming in and, hey, we're going to give you this fentanyl, get the fentanyl, that kind of a thing. And, you know, most of us that are kind of in treatment right now, we're going to say, hey, no, we don't want no opiates. Let me tell you something. When you say that to that doctor will bend over backwards for you after that.
Yeah.
The respect level that you just looked at that doctor with the very drug that's the strongest you possibly have on the opiate front, that's going to make you feel the highest or what have you, and you're saying you don't want it. That doctor, I'm telling you, it's happened to me 3 different times. It's like a complete reverse of an attitude. They look at you in a total different way, because when you first walk in there, and I'm sorry, guys, it's just the way that it is. Most places you walk in, you tell them you're on Suboxone, they look at you side-eyed. I mean, it's just what it is. And it becomes an issue at some point. But when you show them that, again, you got to live what you're saying. You got to do that. So, but yeah. Anyway,
Chuck Norris.
I seen that.
Yeah, Chuck, you are the first person I have ever met who is allergic to buprenorphine. Now, I read about this. Right. I knew that there were people who can't take it, but I've never met one. It's methadone is a drug that has saved a lot of people's lives. And
what did it do to you, Chuck? I'd be curious. Go ahead, Tommy. I just want to maybe he'll
no, you're good.
I'd be curious to see what
Swiss Vapor, by the way, is 280 days sober. People, can we throw a one up in the
heck yeah.
Can we toss a one up for that?
We need some ones in the chat for that one, guys.
Yeah, can we get some ones in the chat for the virtual high five and pat on the back and all of that. Hey, we're proud of you, bud.
Heck yeah.
We really are. That's super stuff.
Yes.
And he has fought literally as hard as anybody. You know, this has been a tough road, and we're proud as hell of you, man. We really are. We're proud as hell of you.
Yep.
So good stuff. Really good stuff. Look at all of those.
There they go. Look at Sharon.
Yes.
She said screw that. About. She put 4 or 5 of them out there for us.
Yeah, all right. She's played before.
Hey, Wolfie, good to see you, bud. But yeah, I mean, and again, guys.
God, I got to listen to myself. That's awful. I hate when that happens. Pretty sure I muted it, but there you go. So yeah, one of the with any of the medical assisted treatments, our thought on this is, if it works, absolutely do it. A year clean from it. I started on Vicodin, and then after being hit by a car when I was a kid, oddly a few years back when it went out of control. But methadone helps with pain for sure. I'm just glad to be alive.
Yes.
Truthfully, methadone was not invented to be a cessation drug, right? Methadone was invented to be a long-term painkiller because its half-life is double that of basically any other drug in the opiate family. So you got um, a much longer period of time that the drug
Oh
stays in
wow.
your system,
You
which is
need
one of the.
you need to read
What's
that
that?
one, man. I'm sorry. I don't mean to
No,
cut
go
in.
ahead.
Mister says I'm trying to start my sober journey. It's alcohol related, and he works in a brewery.
Yeah, it's got to be a very tough
Oh
place to
man.
work if you're starting your journey. Oddly enough, though, um, I mean, the logical response would be, "Great, get out of there." But I know two people who have been sober. One, it's got to be 15 years. The other, not as long, but both really long term sober individuals who are bartenders. And you sit and think, how is that possible? But there is something about seeing it. My brother Johnny says all of the time that when he sees people who have drank to excess, it just reminds him just how much he doesn't ever want to do it again. But if you're just starting your journey, God bless you, brother. One of the things that we say is if you have an opportunity to talk to a doctor as you're starting that journey. We're not doctors here. We don't play them on the net. But the best case scenario is that you take the time to talk to a medical professional as you start that out, Mister. However, if you can't, the advice would be this: depending on how long you have been drinking, just know that cold turkey quitting alcohol can kill you. Two drugs, right? Benzodiazepines and alcohol can kill you by going cold turkey. Your body can go into seizures, and it is a very, very dangerous thing. So I don't know how long you've been drinking, but please, please, please be careful and be safe.
That's interesting, Chuck. I mean, I knew that there were people, very few out there that are allergic to it, but to actually talk to one's first time ever for me. That's
Yeah, did you see what he said?
yeah,
He broke out in a
anaphylactic.
rash and
Yeah,
started having anaphylaxia. That was what I heard, is that swelling of the neck and anaphylactic
yeah.
shock. So really, and
Good.
that was just he only took a small portion of a strip. This is something that if you're going to have a bad reaction to buprenorphine, it doesn't matter how much of it you take. I have seen people have really bad reactions. I've just never seen anybody that was allergic to it. Sharon Chandler, that is a beautiful thing to say. Thank you so much.
Yes,
I mean
thank you.
that
Thank you.
from the bottom of my heart. That really is a really nice thing to say.
And-
But make no mistake, my partner and I do this because we need it more than everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
This is what keeps us sober on this journey.
And how do you know if you're at that point, Mister? You don't even want to step into that point, okay? Because the second you realize you're in that point, you're probably too far.
And
You're gonna
Ashton
you're
Smith.
gonna get hurt. So
Ashton Smith is in the right place. Tell me that does not sound like somebody that understands the game.
yeah, for sure.
Right.
Wow.
That is a great comment.
It's like he's been here since the beginning.
Correct. It sounds like you've been here since day one. That's we are in agreement with every single part of that.
Mister, you can die from that, okay? This is that we're not kidding. You will have seizures, you can die. You don't want to be by yourself. You need to talk to your doctor. I'm just being honest there, bud.
Yeah.
You really do.
There's now let me explain this, because if this is a concept that no one's ever heard, or it's you haven't heard this before, I went to prison for bank robbery, and just while in the county jail, the second leading cause of death in county jail is acute alcohol withdrawal. Right? People who come in and they always sort of have a vested interest in lying, right? They don't want it to end up in court that they're drinking 2/5 a day, right? So they have it in their head that I got to lie to these people, right? Whatever they ask me, I shouldn't tell them the truth. Now, if you're having 2 beers a day, right, or 4 beers a day, then this is probably not an issue. But if you're drinking in the ballpark of a fifth a day, it absolutely can take you off the planet, quitting cold turkey. If you ever have read any of the papers from the two gentlemen that started Alcoholics Anonymous, they used to keep a half a gallon of gin underneath the sink where they would meet. And when people came in and said, I drink 2/5 a day, and they would be in the delirium tremens, right? They would be having the shakes, the DTs. They would take that half gallon out and pour the guy 2 or 3 shots and give it to him. because they said there was no point trying to have a conversation with somebody that was in the DTs, right? They needed to make sure that the person was stable before they could start talking to them about it.
Yeah, 100%. And listen, guys, what they do for that, and this to see people, because I'm seeing a few comments there. People don't really understand what they do for alcohol withdrawal. They give you a drug. Most likely, they're going to probably put you on some sort of a benzo for a short amount of time, okay, just to get you past those DTs. And they'll give you a drug called phenobarbital. It's an anti-seizure medication. Believe it or not, that most of the time, that's enough to get somebody through to the other side. I watched, and I've told this story on here before. I watched a person when I went in rehab died right in front of me. And she was in a medical facility detoxing off of benzos and alcohol. Okay, and for those that don't know, benzos is a alcohol in a pill.
In a pill, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Seventh Son says, "Why are snails bad at racing? They're sluggish." All right, Seven. You know what? Your last three were better. And my partner makes an excellent point. The benzos do the exact same thing in your body that alcohol does. Exactly. Which is why they use, the county jails will have what's called a benzo protocol, right? So you go in and depending on how much you tell them you're drinking, they're going to start you out with Ativan at a very high dose. They're going to taper that dose down, and then they're going to go from there and just keep giving you a weaker and weaker benzo. But they will do it over the course of an entire week. And very often they'll give you an anti-seizure medication like phenobarbital or Dilantin or one of those to make sure that that this doesn't kill you. But no joke. This is why we say if you're getting off benzos or if you're getting off alcohol, please talk to a doctor. Swiss Vape, who was in the guy we were saying 280 days, you guys gave him a one for his sobriety. He was drinking gallons of beer a day and usually washing it down with a fifth of vodka as well, and it almost killed him. Like he quit cold turkey and had seizures. And we're very fortunate that that he's still with us. Yeah. This is the reality, people, that this kills a lot of people. It's so just please be careful. And if you're gonna tough this and go it without, you will know something is wrong. Right? And if you start feeling that something is wrong, don't necessarily think I got to get to a hospital. You can think I got to get to a bottle. Obviously, this is not something we like to advise people to do, but if you're starting to seize up, getting booze into your system is exactly what's going to stop it. At which point you need to go see a doctor and talk to them about a professional detox.
Nurses will actually sneak in cans of beer to some of their patients sometimes. I've heard that happen. Yep.
Carry little airplane bottles full of booze. They're really
they're not getting them drunk, guys, so don't think that. They're just giving them enough so they're not freaking gonna swallow their tongue. Honestly, it's really what that's
right.
For. They're not gonna seize. Okay, guys, and that's in survival game. She'd never heard of benzos, and this is why we do what we do here. This is one of the reasons.
Right.
Because
you probably have, you just didn't know they were called benzos.
Yep.
Like Xanax, Valium, Ativan, right? All of those fall under the benzodiazepine category, which were the replacement, right, for things like Tuinol and Seconal, right? They used to have very heavy barbiturates, and they gave those out to people who had, what they used to call back in the day nervous disorder, right? Which now we call anxiety disorders.
Wow, Robbie, thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. Really appreciate you, man. Yep. Really, really appreciate you. That's Robbie has done that once before too. Yep. So it's yeah. Survival Game says, I have heard of Xanax. Yes, alprazolam is one of the most popular of all of the benzos, and a little different than the run of the mill. And what I mean by that is there is an ingredient in alprazolam that actually makes you happy. Yeah. Right. So if you were to take alprazolam and if you want to take Xanax and compare it to, say, Valium is a tranquilizer. It is going to make you tranquil. It is not going to make you happy. And when they started to add that little component, it really did start to change things. The last time Robbie did that, my brother said, not all, you don't have to be a superhero or wear a cape to be a superhero. And there was really something to that. Menacing Muskrat, good to
Doing,
see you.
bud? Good to see
Yeah,
you.
glad that you're here.
Yep. Yep.
Very cool.
Guys, I love seeing this kind of stuff because it's a combination of three, four, five different communities in one, and we're all the same. It just proves it. And Johnny, I got to say it again. Thank you, because I mean, the more people that are of like mind as far as the positivity and doing what we do in that direction and how we do our channels and things. Thank you for sending more people this way, because it's just it's awesome.
Yeah, really, very, very cool stuff. And we're rapidly approaching that 3,000 mark, and we've said it before. It's never, it really isn't about bragging rights or any of those things or big checks. It's about, every say what 10 days, right? Every 10 days, the number of people we have on the boat right now are dying in this country from overdose. Every 10 days. So the more we can get this message out, the more we can beat this drum, the better a chance we have of saving a couple of people's lives. And there was a great comment made yesterday on the boat that nobody deserves to die because of bad decisions that they made, right?
Yes.
And got addicted.
God,
and unfortunately, right now, earlier on that comment about Sharon said I was so panicked that they were going to give me fentanyl. The street drug that they're talking about when we talk about fentanyl is not the same animal. I hope everybody understands that. The difference between alpha fentanyl, which they gave a shot in the apartment for the broken leg, is just about as far away from the street version of that as you could possibly get, right? It is night and day. It really is. So back to relapse and relapse prevention. People, if you're seeing anything here right now that makes sense, it's the fact that when we all support one another, really amazing things happen, right? When you realize that you can say to somebody, I really feel like getting high, and they're not going to judge you. They're not going to treat you like you have a character defect or that you're somehow weak.
Monkeypox or something.
Right, exactly. The beautiful thing about this kind of group is when you say, I really feel like getting high today, you're going to find 2,000, right, 960 people who go, yeah, I've been there, right? Been there. There are those days that are just damn overwhelming. And if you go back and deep dive through videos on this channel, you're going to see videos where my partner and I came out and said, today is a day I would really love to use dope. Yep. Like those days do happen. The difference between the people who don't use and the people who do are the individuals who say out loud to somebody else, today is a day I really want to get high. Right? Nobody on the boat is ever going to let that go down. They're going to stay on the damn phone with you until you change, right? Or grow old, because they're never going to give up, right? And so as you start sliding into relapse, the first thing that you need to do if you want to stay sober is reach out, to someone else who's in recovery. And there, for a long time, people would say, make sure you call someone who has a lot more, years of clean time than you have. Tell you what,
I don't know about that. Yeah,
not sure where the hell that came from.
Yeah,
maybe that was a cool concept a long time ago. Reach out to somebody that cares. I don't care if the person that you're calling has less sobriety or more sobriety. If they're solid in their sobriety, they're not going to let you use. They're not going to go, hey, good idea, let's go get a bag. Right? These are people that are going to do everything within their power to make sure that at the end of the day,
I've been clean 11 years, Tommy, and I tell you right now, listen, if you can't connect with somebody, it ain't gonna matter if you've been clean 30 years. You're not gonna hear what they're saying. It really is. And let me say this too: the fact that when you reach out, that right there is enough to let somebody know that you're really needing the help and that you're willing to do what it takes to not go back to doing what you were doing. People that want to go back and are going to go back and do it, they don't say a word.
Right.
They just go do it. Okay.
Correct.
So keep that in mind. Anybody that's helping anybody out there on the phone, realize that they want to be there talking to you. They don't want to go do what they're doing. So don't assume that they do. Right. And it's one of those things that's hard to get kind of past, but I'm telling you, you go into it with that mindset, good things happen.
Yeah. So and if you try calling somebody that has never been in the life, and you say, today is one of those days that I really want to use. You have to understand that it's like saying sprechen Sie Deutsch, right? To somebody that says yo hablo español, right? Because you're speaking two completely different languages. To a person that has never been there, they don't understand why you used in the first place, right? They don't understand why you can't just quit. Well, if it's so bad for you, why would you do it again? Okay, if you have to spend 45 minutes on the phone trying to explain to somebody how an addiction works, they're not going to help you get through the day. You got to call someone who understands exactly what that means. Tommy Bird just said that the Lifeboat has become his main and true method of support. People, if you just got to the boat, know that Tommy had a vicious opiate addiction, and had a real hand in getting the boat up and running when it needed some help. He has become a very solid support feature for me on this boat as well, right? As so many of you have. It's one of those things that it really, if you can't tap into a system, chances are you're going to fail. Now, I'll get an email for tonight from somebody that says, I've been sober 7 years and I did it all on my own. Fantastic, right? I am not upset at anybody that gets sober any way you possibly can. However, I'm sorry, I gotta hit this because it's awesome.
Go ahead.
SG says, you guys should have a 24-hour sobriety hotline. I'd volunteer to answer phones on weekends. I think that's a great idea. We do have one. It's called Tommy and Mark.
Yeah.
I do get calls. People can reach out. If you reach out to us at any time of day, we're going to take the call.
Yep.
And there are some great stories on the boat. We've had people call at 2:00 in the morning and say, I think I'm having an overdose, right? We've had some really, really crazy stuff. And so far we have been very, very successful.
We stopped our show twice.
We have stopped the show twice.
So
that
to help
we needed
somebody.
to go help someone instantly. That has happened. But SG, we may take you up on that because we absolutely need a hot.
Mm-hmm.
Great idea.
Yep. That's what's
My
going to
brother
take.
has been using heroin since the age of 13 after our dad died. He's 32 now and going to prison for a bit for it. This channel helps me understand addiction better every day. You know what? And I'm glad that you said this because prison is such a huge part of opiate addiction, right? The things that you have to do to maintain a heroin addiction will land you in prison, plain and simple, right? They're going to kill you, one or the other. I get all the time people will send me emails and go, you really seem like you just don't really look the part of a guy that that had an addiction, because I guess at this point I kind of look or sound like I've got myself together. I walked into banks and said, give me all the money, right? I went to prison for bank robbery. And people say it all of the time, to walk up to the door of a bank and go and yank it open to go in there to get the money. No one in their right mind does that, right? But to look at me now, you would think this guy's in his right mind. Heroin will instantly make you not in your right mind. If your brother has been on it since 13, look, nobody gets a free pass. I deserve to go to prison for what I did. That being said, ain't no way in hell I would have done it without heroin. So, and I have made this offer to a couple of people in the past. So no pressure. Go ahead and think about it. But I'd be happy to write to your brother while he's in there. I'm doing it for a couple of other people right now. And sometimes just hearing it from somebody that's been there and done that, there's a prison language that's a little different than the real world as well. And I'd be more than happy to reach out to him so that when he gets out the next time, maybe we got a better chance. Because you know what, people, that there's no such thing as beyond hope. There is no such thing as
always
beyond
hope, guys. Always. I promise. You're looking at the hope right now.
That's it.
You're watching it right there in the chat room.
Yep, absolutely. Rip Curl Readiness.
Ripper.
Rip's one of my favorite people, man. Really. If you've never seen Rip's interviews on the boat, I think there was either 3 of them or 4 of them, right? There was a lot of them.
Yeah.
You should go and watch them because they're really, really intense. And just really good stuff.
He's been on my channel a few times too. I'm sure that some of you guys have seen him over there. Very well spoken and very knowledgeable every time he opens his mouth. So just understand that, and he does it with love too. So that's a hard combination to come by. And when you find it, guys, you got to latch onto that. He is a true brother in everything that we do. I promise you.
No question. No question. Tommy Bird says, everyone deserves as many chances as it takes. What a great comment.
Yeah.
What a great comment.
Yep.
As far as relapses go, people, one of the biggest fears of relapse is from the outside, from someone who understands what's going on in recovery. One of the biggest problems is that very often relapse is the ultimate excuse to flush your life down the toilet, right? You'll see people that have 4 years of sobriety or 6 years of sobriety, and they make a misstep, right? Now, logic would say multiply 365 times 6. That's how long you've been sober. You got high one day, right? But in the mind of the addict, that one day undoes everything that they just did. And to go face the world and say to people, I relapsed, I got to get back up. Very often, they would rather just dive headlong back into the life of addiction. And it really is the most dangerous part of any addict's recovery is the day after, right? The day after they relapse is when we really need to reach out and say to them, hey, you know what? Get up. In the last 365 days, how many days have you used? 1. How much better was that than the previous 366 days?
Yep.
Get back up. Get back to the boat, get back to whatever group you're in. And it's not starting from scratch, people. It's one of the worst mentalities. This is honestly something that kills people.
Yes.
And you'll hear so many people say all the time, you blew 6 years of sobriety? Man, shut the hell up.
You didn't blow nothing. That makes me mad too, dude. I hate that.
It's just stupid.
Yeah.
Right? It's bad verbiage, and
Yeah.
it creates a mindset that very often kills people. You know, a lot of times people with the best of intents say things so stupid that they'll literally take people off the planet. Ashton Smith says, in a world full of judges, what we really need is a lot more lawyers.
There
Don't
you go.
convict people. Try to get them all the help they need. Wow.
And something else we say here, guys, a lot is don't waste a relapse. It's the same thing. You don't waste it. We understand that 80% of people that do get help, that is just a hard statistic. We are changing that. We are trying to be in that 20%. And the more we try and the more we succeed, that number is going to grow to 25. It's going to grow to 30, and eventually it's going to get bigger. Okay.
Yeah.
And those numbers are going to, it's a hard road. It's no doubt, but don't waste it. So when somebody tells you threw away however much time you had in recovery, do they think that your brain quit working for those 6 years or 5 years or whatever? That's the hardest part to beat. It ain't the physical part.
Walk the hell away from them and call somebody on the boat, right? Or call somebody that's in recovery. Seriously, get away from them. When someone says, you blew 6 years, just go like this.
Yeah. That fires me up, man. I hate it.
It does me too. It is one of those things that just, it's so counterproductive, right? And there's this misconception that, well, it's tough love. You know, if I bust his chops about this, what he's going to do is go jump into a bag or a spoon.
It's an instant excuse.
That's the reality of life. Yeah, it's an
instant excuse.
And how many times have we said it? We are looking, right? Yep. Our goal 24/7 as addicts is give me the best excuse in the world to go use, and I will jump on it. Now, today I'm very solid in my recovery. I really am. And the way that I stay sober, the way that I stay solid, is to try to help other people get sober. That literally has become my drug of choice. When somebody comes on here and says, I got 280 days sober, and for that entire time they've been on the boat, that's better than any heroin high I ever did.
Yep.
But make no mistake, if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you're feeling bad because you relapsed, my brother Johnny could tell you, I bet you I relapsed 5,000 or 6,000 times. I'm not saying that for effect. Over the course of 30 years, I tried quitting every day. Right? After about the first three or 4 months of being addicted, I didn't want to be addicted anymore. And every day you'd get up in the morning and say, today's the day I'm going to quit. And a lot of times I'd make it to the following day, right? I had enough sobriety under my belt to actually call it an attempt. Right. And then I would relapse. The last relapse was the last relapse, right? That's the one you learn from. When you finally have a good relapse, your odds of ever having another one decrease massively, but don't waste it. Yes, you're right, Johnny. She is very kind. Although She's got a streak. Don't let her fool you. I know
Says
her
she
pretty well.
streaks. Is she streaking somewhere?
Yeah, she can get dangerous.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Watch out.
and give us the best reasons in the world to staying sober. If we're not ready, we ignore them all until the right time comes, I guess. You know something? This is another thing that is really important, people, because at the end of every one of these shows, if you've never been to the Lifeboat before, you're going to hear us say at the end of the show very often, hey, reach out and try to save somebody.
Oh, wow.
What that means is you have a very small window of opportunity. When someone is ready to quit, that window that says, yeah, you know what, I'd really like to get off of this stuff. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 15 minutes. But when Tommy says, you're just not ready until you're ready, you can be ready. If somebody catches you when that window is open, they can get you ready before you should or before you will on your own.
A survival game asked a interesting question there. I'd be interested to know the answer to that from everybody, really. She says, if we found out the world was going to end next week, would you want to spend your last day sober, or would you give in and use? That is a hard question right there, guys. That's getting down to the brass tacks right there, guys. It really is.
Yeah. Do you know what's crazy? And I mean insane crazy. That is not the first time I've heard that question.
Really?
Yeah.
It is for me. I've never heard that. Somebody asked me that ever.
When I was working on getting sober in prison, if you're new to the boat, I worked with a guy named Q. And after about a year and a half of sobriety, he used to give me writing assignments. And they would be questions like, if there was a pill that would make sure that no drug in the world would ever work on you, would you take it? And he would want you to write a paper on it. And, to that, I said, I would pay someone to shove it down my throat. Because more than likely, just the addict in me wouldn't allow me
to do it. Yeah.
But I would pay somebody. Look, when I'm not looking, right, sneak up on me, shove this thing down my throat. But no chance in hell do I go out high. No chance in hell. And when I wrote that paper with Q, that was not my answer. But I have gotten to the point now where my prized possession, right, on this planet is my sobriety. And if I only had a few minutes left, right, to organize my thoughts and to talk to God and to do all of the things that would be important in my life, ain't no way in hell I'm doing that stoned.
Can I answer what I would say?
Please.
This is how I would look at it, guys. I would grab a hold of the people that I love, and I haven't really thought about this a whole lot, so this is kind of new for me. So this is just me saying what I actually feel. I would rather hug the people I love and to have a real connection than to go out on a fake high, because it's fake. That's all it is. It's fake to me. And don't get me wrong. I understand what everybody's thinking. Yeah, well, you never know the difference. Well, I would until I wasn't here. And that's just what it is. So anyway, we got Blue Dazzle on the line. We bring her in.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And Virginia, hold on. I got to read this, but bring in Blue. Virginia said, I want to meet God sober.
Oh, wow.
That is a hell of an answer right there.
That's a good one right there.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Blue Dazzle. Yeah.
Hey, Blue. You there? I think she's there. Hello?
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Hey.
How are you?
Me too. Good. Doing good.
Good.
Hey,
Beautiful stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. Blue Dazzle.
Can you mute your YouTube? There you go. Thank you.
Yep. Happens to the best of us.
Hey.
So welcome to the deck of the boat.
Well, hey there. How is everybody?
Doing well.
Yep.
I wanted to answer that question.
Go for it.
Please.
All right. I would say no. I would want to. I have learned about family, and I would want to spend my time with family. I want to feel it all, because you never know. Maybe at the last minute, some superhero would come and save us. But not worth going back there.
Right.
Very good answer.
Would that be birth family, Blue? Or would that be, a family of your making, or a combination of both?
Combination of both. It's
good
just
answer.
My son and my mom, right? Our family has slowly dwindled. So, small family, but I have many adopted family now.
Amen. Amen. And you know what? If you're new to the boat too, you've probably heard the expression, you can't choose your family. You absolutely can choose your family, right? Don't believe that BS for a second.
Yep.
If you're unhappy with the family you got, build you a new one. Sorry, Blue, go ahead.
Oh, yep, you sure can. Yep, amen.
Yeah, it's and it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to follow through. And I think all of us sitting here right now have kind of followed through with it. Honestly, we continue to do so. And you calling in and talking, and everybody here in the chat and everything, that's just proof of all that.
I would never have done this before, but I love you all. I love you all.
Back at
so
you.
cool.
Back at you.
I'll call back in again sometime.
Please do.
Please
Thank you,
do.
Blue.
Yeah,
I really appreciate
thanks for calling in.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
Very, very cool. You know what? I love putting the voice to a emoji or an avatar or whatever we call those things.
And we get and to kind of let you little inside baseball there too. Me and Tommy get to actually kind of see a name. We're not going to say it because we don't want to.
Right.
Some people don't want their name out there, where they just want their their YouTube name, and I get that.
Right.
Honestly, I get it. This world's kind of crazy. So, but it's interesting because you might not expect them to have that name. It's kind of an odd thing, but no, it's cool though.
Like a Brett Miller.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anchors away. You know what, people? I can't say enough to thank all of the people that came to the boat today for the first time. Yeah, welcome. This is it's a very, very solid crew of people, and I'll be really honest with you. I'm not saying this for effect or for anything else, but if I found out that the world was about to end, I don't know that I would want to spend it with anybody else.
Yeah, I agree.
For real. I think if the world was about to end, I'd like to be sitting in front of this microphone trying to talk as many people on the boat into facing the next chapter sober. Honestly, that's probably where I would be.
And as long as I can have my wife and kids right next to me, I'm all on board on that one.
When have you ever been here where you didn't have your wife and the kids next to you?
Hey, you guys, just so you know, anybody new here, if you hear me go, oh, it's because it's one of my kids or my wife's giving me a hug.
And if you go back and start binge watching anything here, it's rare that we get through one of these shows without an awe.
Yeah.
Brandon Taylor says, one more for the family. Love you all. You know what, Brandon? Proud of you, brother. Really, really proud of you. He's killing it. He really is. And it's just, you know what, to everybody fighting the good fight. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate that. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Yep. It's and it's, you know what, it's from the heart. This is, we did a show a long time ago where we talked about being the two luckiest people on the planet. And people come to channels all the time and they say, hey, you know what, thank you so much for what you do. And look, we're just lucky people come here and listen, because this is what keeps us sober, right? We're just lucky that this group of people all found each other. We did not do this.
100%.
We did not do this.
Yeah, it's when me and Tommy first started talking about this subject, it was odd, wasn't it? Wasn't it odd for you to kind of like sit back and think, wow, I actually do feel like I love these people.
Yeah.
And,
I remember having conversations with you about it.
Yeah, it's
where I said, didn't see this happening. We've even said it on the air a few times. I never thought that I could get this close to people that I had never met. But hey, Brandon, good for you, man. 2 weeks tomorrow. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, dude. That's
good stuff.
That's a one in the chat. Deserves it right there.
Yeah, no question.
Cool.
Virginia says, I look forward to the boat each evening. So do I. It's for those new to the boat, we took a little time off, and when we did, I got to a point where I was relapsing. I wasn't getting high, but I most assuredly was heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah, me too.
And getting this back up and running, I think probably saved both of us. Yeah. Where is the lifeboat count up to? That's a really good question. Let's see here. We got the live count.
While you're doing that, I want to remind everybody at 10 o'clock, you guys need to get over to the survival game.
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Please go over there to her channel and sub up, and then
And
hit the notification.
Survival, can you put your link up in the chat?
Wait, I'll have to make her a mod for a minute. She can do that.
Oh, that's right. Look at that. How about you putting it up?
I guess I can do that too. Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, there we go.
Give me a minute. I have to go over to her channel. real quick.
Probably ought to just make her a mod anyway.
I
but,
probably should, but
yeah, that might just make sense. But yeah, we definitely want to go over there and watch my bobbleheaded partner. If sobriety was a chili pepper, Tommy has eaten the hottest one.
That's awesome.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. That's just great.
That's so freaking
Thank
cool.
you, Fiona. I too love this book. I really do.
It's not giving me the option to make a mod right now. I don't know why. I'll put the link in there. Just give me a second. Guys.
Okay. We absolutely want to make sure that we do that.
We're gonna get the link in there in just about 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. I just got to go to her channel.
Wow, listen to this. Aston Smith says, Johnny, thank you for sending me to your brother's way. I went from a life raft to a boat, and now I think I'm on a ship. You know something? We say all the time, we're gonna need a bigger boat. Johnny, we're at 2963, so we're getting a whole lot closer. God bless y'all. If
we're gonna get there this weekend, guys, just so you know. I'm telling you, and we're gonna make it happen, and it's not even gonna be a question. It's gonna happen. I'm making sure of it. Johnny's making sure of it. Tommy's making sure of it. We're making sure of it.
Virginia says ARC. Well, we certainly have 2 of every animal out there, so that's it. But probably wouldn't. That's not such a bad description. There are plenty of animals on this boat, so
definitely is.
And that's a good thing. I wouldn't have it any other way. And speaking of animals on this boat,
here's the link to her channel. There.
Excellent. You got the link up?
Yep, it's there.
Perfect. And if you're new to this channel, then you haven't seen the sign off, which is unique. We have a mascot, and someday we'll tell you the whole story behind it because it's actually hysterically funny. But we will be back tomorrow, people. Same time, same on the same place, and hopefully we will see all of you here between now and then. Right? Fight the good fight and reach out and try to save somebody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages,
and this is a cat in a basket. Good night, everybody. We love you. Thank you, Squirrel. Did you just get angry at me? What did you just do? She just got all kinds of torque.